in your Lesson 2 of your course, Understanding Culture, Society, and Politics. Let's have an overview to our last discussion, Introduction to UCSP and Human Variation. And now let's proceed to our new discussion, Anthropology and the Study of Culture.
Anthropology and the Study of Culture. The following are the outcomes of learning. 1. Advocate and promote the sociocultural aspect of the Philippines. Analyze the research impact of the sociocultural events and the different aspects of culture. 3. Evaluate the characteristics of culture and the Filipino culture. And 4. Explain anthropological perspectives on culture and society. Anthropology. Anthropology is a branch of social science which derived from the Greek word anthropos, means man, and logos, means study. According to Ember et al., it is a discipline that deals with the study of origin, development, and contemporary variations of people, or simply the study of human and their ancestors. Let's tackle the sub-disciplines of anthropology. Archaeology. Archaeology is the branch of anthropology that deals with the study of the remains of ancient and historical population. The following are the example artifacts. The Golden Tara of Agusan. It is declared as the most spectacular findings yet made in the Philippine archaeology. The Ifugao hair dress. It symbolizes beauty. The Flying Elephant of Lena Shur, a porcelain dish made during Middle Ming Dynasty. Physical anthropology. Focus on biological development of human in their contemporary variation. The Tabon Cave. This cave, considered as the Philippines' cradle of civilization, were Tabon discovered. This cave contributed a lot in the physical and biological development of the ancient Filipino. The Bolinao skull. The teeth part of the skull clearly shows the variation of physical and biological environment where the species live in. Linguistic anthropology. It examines the nature and nuances of language of a group of people and its relation to their culture. The Baybayin. This is a pre-colonial Philippine script that is widely used during and prior to 16th and 7th centuries. The Laguna copper plate inscription. This discovered in 1986, the earliest historical document in the country. The inscription was written in Old Javanese writing with a combination of Old Tagalog, Old Malay, and Sanskrit. Cultural anthropology. It is the study of society's culture through their belief systems, possessions, and traditions. The Pintados. This term used by the Spanish colonists to describe tattooed indigenous Cebuano and Waray people. Tattoos are indicative of a man's bravery in the battle. The more tattoos, the more success. The Manungol jar. This is a secondary burial jar used to store bones of someone previously buried. The lid of the jar features a spirit boat, or the ship of the dead, carrying two souls on a journey of the afterlife. We are done on the disciplines of anthropology. Now, let's deepen our knowledge on culture. We already have an overview about the culture in Module 1 under the cultural variations, including the different perspectives of culture, which are ethnocentrism, xenocentrism, cultural relativism, multiculturalism, cultural sensitivity, and biological egalitarianism. Culture, often defined as a way of life, according to Edward Burnett Taylor, culture is a complex whole which includes knowledge, belief, morals, custom, and other capabilities. The following are the components of culture. Symbols. It refers to the things that convey meaning or represent an idea. Language. Language is a symbols that allows people to communicate verbally or non-verbal. Values. Values is culturally defined standard that pertain to what is right or wrong. Norms. Norms are shared rules of conduct that determine specific behavior among society members. The culture is a complex whole which is defined in many ways. Culture is everything, culture is learned, culture is shared, culture is flexible, culture affects biology, and culture changes. The following are the different characteristics that describe the variety of culture. Culture is everything. Everything a person sees, touches, thinks, and acts are part of the society's culture. It consists of material and the non-material. Material culture includes all tangible and visible parts of culture, like clothes, foods, and infrastructure, while non-material culture includes all intangible parts of culture, like ideas, beliefs, and traditions. Culture is learned. Culture is everything that an individual learns through the different institutions he or she belongs. There are three terms that deepen the characters of culture as learned: the enculturation, acculturation, and deculturation. Enculturation, it is about learning your own culture. For example, celebrating our own Filipino festivals, knowing Philippine history, learning by buying a pre-Hispanic Philippine script. Question: what traditions, practices, or belief systems that you learn from your family? And how these traditions, practices, and belief system affect your personality as a part of the society? The second characteristic of culture as learned is acculturation, learning the culture of other society. For example, being part of K-pop culture through the different groups such as Blackpink, BTS, EXO, and Girls' Generation, or watching different shows like K-drama, My Love from the Star, or Spanish drama series La Casa de Papel, or having an interest on the country's food culture, like eating samgyeopsal or using chopstick, or even drinking boba milk tea. Deculturation. Culture has been forgotten or lost, such as the pagmamano, or a honoring gesture of a Filipino, but almost replaced by beso or handshake, harana, and playing of Filipino traditional games. Question: is there any Filipino culture that was almost forgotten that you want to teach to your future family? What is it and why? Culture is shared. Culture is everything that is shared by a great number of populations, which is considered as communally owned and practiced by the members of a society. A culture will not be considered as culture if there is only one person practicing it. It should have shared through different generations. Culture is shared. This diagram shows how culture is shared from culture of your family, culture of social institutions like school, church, and community, which will be equivalent to your culture as an individual. Observe the different phases. People alter their bodies to fit into physiological norms that are dictated by culture. Most of culture values on beauty and body. These characterize culture as culture affects biology. Culture affects biology. There are groups of people that are performing a physically related traditions and practice around the world. which considers their own standard of beauty. The Mursi tribe in Ethiopia, wearing lip plates. Plate size was a sign of social or economical importance in tribe. Foot binding or lotus fit in China. The most desirable bride possessed a 3-inch foot known as a golden lotus. Kayan tribe in Thailand, brass coils around their neck. In the Philippines, we have the Pintados or tattooed people from Visayas, and Apamangod, known for her pambabato, shows how Filipino culture affects biology. Stay tuned for a video sharing concerning our performance task for this module about the different standards of beauty around the world. Culture is flexible, defined as adaptive and maladaptive. Culture is adaptive. The culture adapts to the environment. Culture serves as a tool for survival, whatever surroundings they have. For example, the Inuit people from the region of Arctic used to build igloos during winter and build topics during summer. Or the clothing of Ifugal tribes in a tropical country. Culture is maladaptive. When the environment has changed and the culture has remained the same, culture becomes maladaptive. For example, the car culture in the Philippines remain the same as the environment gets more polluted, the road and traffic problems are getting worse. Another example, the child bride in India and the child marriage in the Philippines. Regardless of the progressive perspective in gender equality, these traditions remain the same. The last characteristic of culture. Culture changes. Culture is never static and continuously reinvented by the people in order to adapt and survive in the environment. We are done on discussing the different characteristics of culture. And now, let's proceed on the theories on culture. Theories are significant in analysis and the study of different perspectives about culture. The following are some of the theoretical perspectives of culture, which is based on the definitions from Ferraro and Andretta. Cultural evolutionism. This perspective shows that all cultures undergo the same development in the same order. This shows the activism development in the Philippines. Diffusionism. All societies change as a result of cultural borrowing from one another. For example, we borrow the use of chopsticks from Eastern people and playing basketball from America. Historicism is a cultural theory which states that each culture is unique and must be studied in its own context. Psychological anthropology. This theory says that personality is largely seen to be the result of learning culture. For example, the Filipinos are known for being resilient and happy despite of a natural phenomenon that they encounter. Last theory is functionalism, where society is thought to be like a biological organism while all of the parts are interconnected. Please take note the instruction and criteria for our activity in this module. Written work 2, my Anthropological Starter Pack. Performance Task 2, Advocacy Timeline. Thank you so much for listening to our discussion. If you have questions, You can ask your UCSP facilitator, Padayon,